Question: what do you have to offer a world full of opinions, where everyone has a mic, everyone has a platform? Answer: authenticity, realness, and honesty. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl Shotty Pippin. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wherever you from, whoever you are, welcome. I was trying to figure out, I was like, what do I have to talk about? Like, what do I have to say? Because, like, I'm always, if you know me in real life, I'm always getting put on the spot to open my mouth and say something. You know, I'm not a person, I'm not about having a platform. I'm one of those people who's like, I just want to do whatever's pleasing to Jesus, and that's on that. I want to be who God says I am. I want to be in alignment and in step with that. And so, I guess the beginning, the genesis of that is me always searching for who I am and having identity about myself. And I'm going to start in the realm of my hair, because I think that is a very pivotal moment for me in coming into myself, and continuing to be an individual that marches to the beat of their own drum, uncompromised, and not really being easily influenced by other people, and what their standards are. I'm not a trend follower. Can be a trendsetter, depends on who you're talking to. That's subjective. But yeah, so I asked God, I'm like, where do we start? He was like, start with identity, start with your hair. Cool. So we're just gonna start from here. I was natural till probably about 5, and then my mom started relaxing my hair. Mind you, I really didn't know what she was doing, what the difference was. I just knew it was time for me to get my hair done, and my head was tingling every time it was time for me to get my hair done. But your girl's hair was healthy. My mom knew what she was doing. And so I'm a military brat. I grew up majority of my life overseas, and then we moved back to the States in my mid-teens. So we moved back to the States around age 14. Moved to South Carolina, then we moved to Georgia. Before that, lived in Japan. Before that, England. And so while we lived in England, I was born in New Mexico, and there's not really an African presence in Mexico. It's not even an African American presence in New Mexico for real like that. Even if you go there today, you're not gonna see too many black people, right? And so I really didn't have a gauge of natural hair or natural beauty in the way that I was searching for it or was influenced by, until we moved to England. There I saw African women and other dark-skinned American women wearing their natural hair. Also, my mom, she had this subscription to Hype Hair, so we'll always get it in the mail, or she would go buy it in the store, and I would look at it and look at all the different hairstyles. And I remember seeing a particular issue of Hype Hair where they had a whole section dedicated to natural hair. Mind you, by this point, I saw this particular magazine. I had already saw African women with their natural hair. So they had afros, they had their cornrows, they had their braid outs and their twist outs. And I was like, why don't I look like that? Why can't my hair do that? You know, I didn't really realize at that time, you know, it's because you got the creamy crack in your head, you know. And so fast forward, I would ask my mom, why can't, why doesn't my hair do that? And she educated me. You have relaxer in your hair. It chemically straightens your hair, makes it more manageable, easier to do. All this other, jazz. So I'm like, oh, all right. But I still was unsettled on the inside, like, why don't I look like that? Why can't my hair be like that? I have not been given a concrete reason as to why my hair can't do that, or why I can't, find some way to get there at that age. Fast forward, I go natural my freshman year of high school, and also between freshman year and sophomore year, I get saved. I go to Bible camp. I meet, once again, I see another beautiful African woman with natural hair. She was one of the most beautiful things I ever saw in my life. And I was like, okay, again, why can't I look like that? Mind you, I hadn't had a relaxer for a while. And then my mom started taking me to a lady that specialized in natural hair. And she said, well, she can transition into natural hair. She doesn't necessarily have to cut it off right away. So I started transitioning. And then the summer before my sophomore year, I did the big chop. And then from there, I was on this journey of finding myself, being myself, not really being influenced by other people, just being my own person. And so fast forward to my junior year of high school, we moved to Georgia. I'm not gonna make this for every military brat, I'll just speak for myself. Traveling and moving around, making friends and building relationships was really difficult for me, because I would have moments where people wouldn't like me. Mind you, this would be before I gave a reason for people to not like me or not really want to be my friend. Or, when people see you kind of have stuff or have a thing that they don't, they kind of want to befriend you and you kind of get used for it. And then it's kind of like, once the jig is up, they don't want to talk to you no more. My parents were very vocal when they saw certain things in my friends that they didn't like. I just remember my mom and dad telling me the specific females I was hanging around or playing with, like, they're not really your friends, and I'm not going to go into details because I barely remember them myself. But I'm like, okay, so fast forward, I moved to Georgia. I'm having a real hard time making friends and stuff like that. I remember my first day of school. I started my junior year here in Georgia. I remember walking into my first class, homeroom. Everybody's just kind of looking at me like, who is she? I could hear whispers, gossiping and stuff. I sat down. Girl in the back of the class, she cracks a joke. Everybody's laughing. I really didn't hear what she said. All I know is it was about me, because she hinted at what I had on. Mind you, what I had on really wasn't nothing spectacular, but it wasn't ugly. I had on a pink V-neck polo with some light wash jeans and some Sperry's. Mind you, this is what they were wearing. I didn't know that's what they was into, but that's just what I was into at the time. I kept it simple, nothing too crazy, nothing too extravagant. Something easy for me to get out the door, because if teenagers, we don't like to get up in the morning. As an adult, I still don't like to get up in the morning, for real. And so I'm just having so many issues, just kind of making friends and stuff like that. And that begins to kind of weigh on my self-esteem. Like, am I not pretty? Am I too fat? Like, what is it? Am I weird? And mind you, I'm not really getting no answers. And so um, I end up having to take some courses over again because my credits didn't transfer over or they just didn't want to accept them. So I find myself in a math class with freshmen and sophomores, and two girls are just horseplaying and all that jazz, and they end up snagging my earring and pulling it out of my ear. And so I'm like, in my mind, I'm in distress, having a meltdown and all that other stuff. And later that day when I got home, I just told myself, you look good, you're pretty without earrings. You need to accept yourself without all these adornments, all these things that people say make you look good. Because now you can't wear them. They're useless to you. So that's where my self-esteem journey really kind of got started. And then fast forward, later in my senior year, I ended up locking my hair. I graduated. I was going through it emotionally and stuff like that, over a dude, teenage girl stuff. And I'm just like, I'm tired of this. So I cut my hair off in a sense of trying to cut off the weight or whatever poor experience, whatever bad energy, whatever you want to call it, call myself cutting my hair off. And then there, I really started to appreciate myself as I was, because I didn't have hair to hide behind. For once in my life, I couldn't hide behind my hair. And so that began the journey of finding myself and realizing, one, it's the inside that counts, because the fact of the matter is, none of us has to be here. We don't control what we look like. You can manipulate what you look like nowadays, cosmetic surgery, whatever. But in my mind, that's not an option. In my mind, to me, that's not real self-esteem. And so, that just really began my journey of identity and self-esteem, and really questioning God about who I was. But yeah, this is probably going to be a 2-part episode, so thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned for part 2.